Hey there, thanks for stopping by today. I'm Laura, and let me introduce this new series, So Fearless, to you right now in this exact moment. So it was supposed to be a collaboration, as if you've been around my channel, you've heard me talk about this for a couple of weeks. However, life lifed, and the other people were not able to participate as a collaboration. So what I decided was that this message of sewing fearlessly, living fearlessly to be our authentic selves is just too important. I wanted to go ahead and continue with this as a series instead. So I will be doing each month a So Fearless video, and I'm already working on February's, and it's totally giving me life. I'm so excited. I'm going to start on Saturday for kind of getting it ready to go, and so I hope that you guys will subscribe if you're not subscribed, and come back and watch in February, and then in March, and then on and on. I do have an invitation for you guys at the end of the video, and I'm going to put in chapters, so if you don't if you get tired of the talking parts, you can just go to the invitation. I do hope you will go look at it though, because it's a way that we all can collaborate for So Fearless sewing, and just kind of do it as a community, as a group. And so I hope that you will either stick around until the end of the video to see the invitation, or just hang out there for a second and just kind of hear what I have to propose to you. The first pattern that I chose for doing this series, and this was a long time ago when we were in the collaboration stages, was Simplicity 9745. I chose the long version because I always will love a long version of a dress. I've had this pattern for a year at least, and there's been plenty of opportunity to sew it, but I always didn't. There were three main reasons. The first one is that it shows a lot of skin, and here's the front, and it doesn't look that bad, but the back, it shows a lot of the back. So I've always been self-conscious about my body and about I don't know, the size of my body, even when I was thin. I don't know if you guys have had this happen, but like when you're in your teens and you think you're fat, and then you're like in your 20s and then you're a little bit larger, but you look back at your teens and you're like, I was so thin. And then like you get into your 30s and then you're like, look back at your 20s and you're like, I was so thin. But you've never ever felt like you were thin at the time that you were in, because your perception, your self-perception of your body, that's been me my whole entire life. I was really kind of apprehensive about how I would look in this dress, and so I just kind of kept putting it off and choosing not to sew it up, even though I loved it and I thought it was beautiful. Somewhere in my 30s or 40s, I finally got to the point where I was like, I didn't love my body, but I agreed with myself to stop being negative about it. And so I just kind of was like, okay, that's who I am. That's what I look like now. And started thinking, you didn't think you looked good when you were in your 20s, so maybe you don't look so bad now, right? Recently, I've kind of gotten to the point where, I still don't necessarily love everything about my body, but I've started to love certain things about my body. I've started choosing the clothing that I make based off of the parts of my body that I love, instead of necessarily like looking at it and being like, oh, that will look terrible on me. I'm like, well, that would really showcase this, or it would really showcase something else. Can you hear my zipper? I've got my zipper shirt on and I keep hitting the table. Even still, as I was fitting the dress, I was looking at like shots from the back, and I was like, oh my God, my back is so broad, because I was a drummer, and so I really developed those muscles, and they don't ever go away. They might shrink a little bit, but they're always there. And then my stomach's never been flat, and so I was like looking in the dress, and even though you can't really see it because it's very flattering, it's a very flattering dress, but like I'd turn sideways and I'd be like, oh my God, look at my stomach. And I almost was like, no, maybe this isn't the right thing to do. Maybe I shouldn't maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe I shouldn't do this series. Maybe I should just tamper down and you know, I almost let fear win. But I really do believe that, you know, freedom comes from taking risks and expressing yourself, even if it feels uncomfortable. And so, so I sucked in my fear and I sucked in my stomach, and I went ahead and I finished the dress, and I have to say I'm very happy I did, but we'll get to that afterwards. Another reason why I was afraid to do this dress was because I was afraid that I would not be able to get the fit right. I'd waste fabric, and I'd be disappointed. You know, I wouldn't do a good job. So this was a little bit challenging. Let me show you. I made a 16, but I actually needed a smaller size, but that was the smallest size in the pattern, and I tried to find another pattern like the smaller pattern packet, and in my town the only place I can get patterns is Walmart, and Walmart did not have it. So if I was going to sew this pattern, I had to use that size. I had to use a 16, and so I did, and I just ended up altering it a lot around the chest in order to make it fit, because it was very, very large. So let me show you. I also used this beautiful European linen, and you can't really see in the natural sunlight. You can see it shifts colors. You can kind of see that kind of yellow undertone. In the natural light you can really see it. Maybe, nope. Anyway, it's beautiful. As it flows, it kind of catches the light, and those under threads that are the yellow color or the tan color pick up the golden in the light, and it kind of shimmers. It's really pretty. When I do a short, maybe I'll put it on and go outside. It was just too cold today. It was 25 degrees out. I was like, nope, especially because, you know, there's not a lot to this dress. I probably took an inch out of this center seam, an extra inch. You can see how down here it's the 5/8 inch, but it grows. And so that was to add some, or take out some fabric. And then I also ended up, this one you can really see, I ended up taking kind of a triangle piece out of the side, and so that ended up taking another inch out of the side seams. The initial, you can't see it, but I'll kind of show you. Right here is the initial, right here is the initial stitch line, and I ended up stitching over here again, and then forming a diagonal until I ran into the other stitch line. The only alteration to the facing was to change this upper part, because when I took in the side seams I had to trim off a good section up here. So I did that. It's really nice the way they do the zipper. It's an invisible zipper, and the facing comes up. You sew over the top of the zipper, and then you tack down. You fold the zipper over, and then you just tack it down. They had you sew it. I hand stitched it because I didn't want to try to get my sewing machine on it and then mess it up, because, you know, it's a beautiful linen. I did not want to mess it up at all. But the instructions were relatively good. I mean, I didn't have any problems really. There's these little loops, and so you just thread these through the loops, and then you tie them over here, and I will show you when I put it on. But and then you have a little keyhole cut out here. So it's really cute. It's a very cute dress, and I had to work very hard for the fit. I did a mock-up. Lynn, my friend Lynn, she helped me with kind of figuring out what to do to try to make it fit better in the top. And I think that's it. Let me look at my notes. The front is still a bit loose, and I'll show you that, but I'm about 90 to 95% happy with the fit, because where it started to where it is now is really, really, really much better. So then the last reason why I was afraid to sew this dress was because of the bias cut. It's a bias cut dress. So I've never ever in the 2.5 years that I've been sewing garments, I have never cut on the bias ever, and it was very intimidating to me. But I watched a video that told me, because I learned with the velour that if I'm using a new fabric or a new technique, I really should research a little bit before I get started. So I watched a video. The lady suggested that you use a zigzag stitch on as the stitch choice, so you don't have puckering, and that was genius. So you can see none of all the seams lay nice and flat. The other thing that she suggested was being careful, of course, not to stretch the fabric out as you're pinning the pattern piece on, to just be very careful. And then when I serged the edges, I didn't put any tension, I just directed it through. It still got kind of ruffly, but overall it worked out just fine. The worst thing was the hem. The hem took me about 2.5 hours to do. Most of that was measuring and making sure that it was even. So yeah, that was bad. You need to hang it. Many of you probably know this, but you need to hang the skirt or dress or probably pants, well, anything. You need to hang it for 24 hours to let the bias kind of sag out of the dress, so that when you when you put the hem in, everything will stay even. And I ended up with, after hanging the dress, I ended up with a good 5 inches on one side that was more than the other side. It was comical, but then when it came time to measure everything and get it squared up, it was a nightmare. I went around like 3 times around the skirt. And the pieces in the back are extra full. It's an extra full back here. There's a seam here where you attach these 2 pieces to, and so it has a bit more in the back. That was fun to try to hem up as well. So all of those things were why I chose this dress for my very first, because it hit a lot of points for me. Let's go ahead and do the reveal. So I'm going to go put on the dress, and then I'll just kind of do a quick sum up and give you the invitation, and we'll be done for the very first video. So hold on a minute. Okay, so here it is. Well, here's the top, and you can see it looks, I mean, it's okay. It's got a little bit of a gap, but I don't think I could do that much better. That really is, and this a little bit loose down here. But as I tighten it, let me show you. As I tighten it, it kind of gets tighter, obviously, but what I'm trying to say is that it makes it a little bit, you know, it just kind of sits better, I think. Okay, I'm going to show you kind of the upper part, and then I'll tilt the camera because for some reason I can't get the whole thing in. But here's the upper part. You can hopefully see how there's the keyhole right back here. Uh-oh, there. It should be centered now. Okay, hold on. Isn't that back so pretty? It's so swishy. I love swish. And wait, just look at this. Look at how the capelet looks from a couple of weeks ago with Katanka. I don't know, hopefully you guys can hear me. It matches perfectly. I started to make it and I went, oh my gosh, it's perfect. Well, you guys are probably going to hear Blake playing his saxophone because I have to do this video and he has to practice. So hopefully. it's not too distracting. But what do you think? I am so excited how lovely this capelet looks with this. I love the dress. I cannot tell you. I feel like I need to find a beach somewhere and walk by the ocean barefoot in this dress. It's perfect. I'm so glad I didn't succumb to the fear, and I went ahead and proceeded forward, and because a lot of good things came out of taking the risk. I love the back detail and the way the fabric swishes. I think you could tell that during the turn, the twirl. That was just so, I love it. It's just so floaty, and this linen is so nice. It's sometimes linen, after you wash it, it's kind of rough. This feels really good, so it is definitely good European quality linen. The bias cut is super flattering. I think we can all agree with that. It wasn't hard at all to really sew with, so that was a plus. I have so many more options since I took that risk to sew with a bias cut pattern, that and I guess you can do that with anything. Like she shows you in that video, and I don't know which video it was, or I would tell you, but she shows you how to change or turn the cut instead of the straight grain, to turn it so that it is a bias cut. So like on a shirt or something like that, you can make anything into a bias cut garment, and it will lay and be so drapey, be really, really pretty. So I'm excited about that little bit of news, because there's plenty of things that I can imagine sewing that would look better if they were bias cut. And then what else? I learned how I've decided to go ahead and make the thing, whatever the thing is. Clothing can be empowering. I know what makes me feel uncomfortable in this dress, but I don't feel uncomfortable in this dress because I love the dress. I love how I feel in the dress. It's kind of like last week's video, where I just feel so good that I really don't care what anybody thinks. If somebody was like, "Oh, that's too young of a dress for you. You're too old to wear a dress like that," I'd be like, "What? Like, who do you think you are?" Because I love this dress, and I deserve to wear this dress. I deserve to wear this dress whether I'm 50, 90, 30, 15. If I'm large or if I'm small, if I'm super thin, it doesn't matter. I deserve to wear something that makes me feel as good as I feel in this dress. And so I wish I would have made it a long time ago, because I think the person that I was 2 years ago, I think she deserved to wear this dress too. And so I feel kind of sad, actually, that my fear prevented me from letting her experience wearing something so pretty and so cool. So I think my lesson for this video is that I need to be, and I would encourage other people, I'm not going to preach or anything to you, just like what happened before was the computer went off, and that's the light source, so we want the light. But I think I'm ready to change my narrative from comparing myself to people and being like, who are younger or thinner or whatever, to embracing myself like I'm good as I am. And I don't know if it was Instagram therapy or where I read it exactly, but somebody said, like you don't go in the forest and you don't see the flowers, and you don't look at one flower and be like, oh, that's a nice pretty thin flower, and oh, look, that nice flower is huge and full and round, and it's prettier than that other flower over there. I mean, like, each flower is unique, and each flower, we all find the flowers pretty. I mean, like, each flower, I don't know about you guys, but there's not a flower I don't love. I love them all. And that's kind of how we are. We're a part of nature, I mean, we're all in this together, and each of us are our own unique individual selves. And it really isn't fair to compare ourselves to other people, and it isn't fair for people to compare us to other people and say this is good or this is bad, because each of us in our own are so unique and so beautifully made that we're all just beautiful flowers, you know. We're all flowers. Before I give the invitation, I guess I would like to ask you, have you sewn anything that you were a little afraid to maybe wear or put on? Any techniques that you've recently tried that you're like, oh, this is awesome? Have you done anything like in the last week or so that you were afraid to do, but you took the risk and you were glad that you did? Okay, so the last bit I have for you is the invitation. So my mom is going to be starting a pretty heavy-duty chemotherapy next week, and she and I were talking about this So Fearless, and I told her I would make her some chemo caps so that she could wear them, you know, to chemotherapy and around the house because your head gets cold. But so she was like, you know, if I don't, at the time she didn't know, she said, if I don't lose my hair, maybe you could make hats for other people. And I was like, you know what, that is such a great idea. So I decided, because who besides people that are confronting their mortality and trying to heal themselves and go through cancer treatment, I mean, like, who is more fearless? I mean, like, really. So I decided I would make some hats for the cancer patients at our local cancer center. We have a couple actually, but and I thought about it, and I thought maybe you guys might want to participate in it as well. And I would make up little So Fearless tags, and I could send them to you, and we could all sew in the tags into the hats. And it doesn't have to be any one particular type of hat. Bucket hats, cloche hats, I mean, like, just any hats. But then you know, we could spread a little joy and kindness to people that are going through kind of a tough time, and we could honor being fearless and brave and strong and courageous. So if you are interested in participating, you wouldn't send them to me. We would just donate them, oh, unless you wanted to, but you would just donate the hats to your local cancer center, your local hospital, and you would take pictures and then you would send them to me, and I would put it on Instagram, and I would make a little video and sharing everybody's makes, and I would develop it. I mean, like, if there are people that are interested, I will develop it further. But I just wanted to throw that out there and see if maybe you guys would like to join me in a little bit of, you know, paying it forward, spreading kindness, and just generally helping people out who are going through a tough time. So that is my invitation to you. So if you are interested, just put it in the comments below that you would like to know more, and maybe put an email that I could get a hold of you at. Or, you know what, you can email me at sewingupstyle@gmail.com. So I'm going to put my email in here, and so you can just email me, and then we'll get something figured out, okay? So I think in the other, I had to stop the video and delete some footage because I ran out of storage again. But I think I had asked you already the questions, so I will just call it a day because I'm going to need to edit this video yet, and it's already almost 10 o'clock, so not another late night for me, but yeah. You guys have a great day. Stay fearless, and let's just be some joy and light in the world, okay? Talk to you later. Bye.